Hey, what up everybody? Duck here, welcome to the stream. Get a quick sound check. Make sure the music's not up too loud for you. Tried turning it down just now, so hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, hi, how are you? So Bitcoin up on the screen here, on the main screen. Snowing. Snowing in May. But it happens. Music's fine. Alright, cool, let's roll. Alright, so right now we have the daily chart up. We've been looking at the daily recently just because, I mean, we've had such just kind of sideways meh for, you know, that makes up almost like 3 weeks, you know what I mean? So looking at the daily right now and looking at it like this, you know, it's still really, I hate to say it, but nothing's really changed. Yeah, have we lost a little bit of, you know, gains? Sure, but like what are you really talking about here? You know, 5, 6%, 7%, and that's saying you bought above 40. You know, our initial entry was actually right where we are right now, so it just happened back here. We ran up, came right back into it. So the initial entry for most of us happened in this area. So you had again some sideways chop right here, and that was a lot of initial entry price, and you ran up, came right back to entry. Okay, so that's why I say nothing's really changed. Okay, so if you look at it like this, you can see down here where we got this swing low A point down here. So if that was our low, right? So swing low, January 24th, then you can clearly see we have another one here where we marked the C from February 24th. So we have a low, a higher low, and if you want to call this one, which we basically are because we're anchoring a divergence from there, so we're going to say that's even a higher low. And at this point, we have not yet to give up this 37K low. We went about as low as, I don't know what it was, 37.4, I think. But basically, this is a slightly higher low. Okay, so what that's doing is basically, you know, price is attempting some kind of, gotta mess this a little. The price action is attempting not to go parabolic per se yet, but it's just this this change in the direction overall. Okay, this upsloping. You don't have to do it on a parabola like this, but it's just trying to show you how we just keep making this change in price from here where your previous parabola would have been flip this, would have been to the downside, right? So this other side would have looked different, right? Like that. So you can see how it's like a change in the wave, right? Anyways, we don't need to spend a lot of time on that. I'm just trying to tell you that this isn't the scariest thing here, okay? Just slightly higher lows. And again, this one, it looks almost identical, right? And it really almost is. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is when it's so identical like that, it's very hard to tell, right? To decipher what's actually happening here. Hence, why this is called a hidden divergence, right? So what's happened here is we basically put in identical bottoms, right? But on the momentum indicator, right, on the MACD, look how on that first low, right, you were finishing a kind of a 3x bullish divergence where you were getting this lowest island out of all 4 of these total happened here, and then your largest one happened here clearly, right? So as you can see, all this negative momentum and all the bears were able to do, they talk a lot of crap on Twitter, but all they were able to do is push price back to entry, and they used up a lot of their liquidity to do so, okay? Same thing on the RSI. So from this anchor point low, right, you can see that they used up all the relative strength, right? They pushed it down, but yet they were really not able to get this thing to sell off the way it should have looked if it was actually bearish, right? This thing should have went and sold off like this. That should have been red, okay? Red candle. Because what it needed to have done is it needed to invalidate these lows, okay? So you see these lows that we just marked here and here. This candle should have went through those if the bears were really in control, and they haven't done that. Can they still? Sure. At this point, they could still run them, right? They could run this down here to 30K or whatever, and run those lows. But we are on the other side of that trade, of course, but it's because we know where this is going to basically invalidate, right? If we start to see price action fall below our hidden divergence anchor point here, right? Fall below it and come back up and back test it, and then start to sell off again. This is going to tell us, get out of there. So we won't be in this trade all the way down here where it's invalidating the A, right? You got to get out of it sooner if it's really going to roll over, because at that point we lose. We have to kind of start over. We really start from scratch technically, just on this particular time frame, right? We'd have to allow this to play out, find some other type of price action where you again start to paint higher lows, and then we have this invalidation point here, and we try again, right? But for now, we're not worried about that, okay? So what we want to see have happen is right here on the momentum on the MACD, again, like I said, we're starting to turn this the other way. You see this? How we're borderline about to turn this thing green, right? It's not going to be much more before we start to create some positive momentum. And I mean, that positive momentum could be massive, right? It could be really massive. There's no telling, right? All we want to do is start to turn this green, okay? So that's like step number one. Get the MACD to turn positive. What we don't want is a big red momentum histogram, right? To fall like that and be red, right? Because it would then invalidate all this stuff we have going on. And it would sweep all this, right? So we don't want to see that. That would turn and ideally, in order to do so, you would have probably at least gotten down here close to the C at that point, right? So all that would be bad. Same thing on the RSI. At this point, you're kind of making like a little bit of an upsloping action here on the RSI. So you wouldn't want to see this kind of thing, okay, on the RSI. You do not want to see that. In fact, you want to see quite the opposite, right? You want to see this coming from the top side here and almost make this like downsloping trend line there that gets broken out of. And if you backtest it, whatever, but you could just break out of it as well, okay? So that's really what we would like to see there. So a couple ways to confirm that what's happening is really happening, right? You're gonna turn green on your daily MACD, okay, histogram island. You're gonna start turning green just like this. You're gonna flip it right there, okay, turn it green, and then the RSI is gonna start breaking and continue. Look, you're pointing up right now, okay? So you're pointing to the upside. So it's not, nothing's wrong right now, right? So at this point, you have this 40 line. You just broke back above it, okay? So it's like, this is the time, right? You got to turn it and you got to take the momentum and go with it. So the next critical thing up here is this 50 point. The 50, basically, like, think of this on a football field, right? This is midfield. So if we had the ball, our end zone's back here. We don't want them to score on us, right? But we want to get up here to their end zone. So what we have to do is take the ball and at least cross past midfield, right? In order to, get the ball, get them on their heels, right? Get the defense on their heels. In this case, it would be the Bears, and we're aiming for their end zone, right? We're trying to score a touchdown here. So yeah, what we don't want is to give up ground, right? We don't want to give up ground. This is how we get a safety or something real bad, right? So we don't want to give up ground. What we want to do is gain ground, right? Gain that ground and continue on into what would be next would be up here around the 60. So even getting above that, right? That's kind of how we're going to make our way there, all right? Okay, so that's the RSI. Let's go back to price now. So on price, you can see we have this large downsloping trend line that started from the way tippy top of the harmonic up here. Wait, you guys can't see the date, can you? Do you want to see the date? I don't care. I don't know that you need to. Sorry, I'm just trying to adjust this a little bit here. No. I'm not gonna mess with it. I'll fix it another time. You can see price. Oh gosh, that's such a pain. Sorry. Maybe I could do it really quick. Hold on. All right, there we go. No. Okay, crisis averted. We're back. We're back. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So again, I was talking about this large white downsloping trend line here. So if you, of course we want to break out of that, but if we zoom in, we almost have, you know, like a smaller one that's in closer that we have to kind of worry about first. It's kind of, I don't know, we could get a little more conservative, kind of like that. But basically, Bitcoin is at a point where you see it really doesn't have anywhere left to go, right? If you fall out of this, you're going to invalidate any sort of, you know, this blue, you know, divergence, hidden bullish divergence we have. So you can't fall out of it here. So if you can't fall out of it, that means, well, we have to break out of it towards the upside. Okay, well, I'm cool with that. So that would look something like this. Maybe you backtest it, but ultimately you make your way, maybe you even paint a little head and shoulders there, right? Where people would think that's gonna dump. But in all reality, you know, you end up just breaking through this, right? So look for that, right? Look for that little downsloping trend line there in tight. But ultimately, you know, we're more concerned with this larger one breaking out. Okay, so that's another thing to look for. Okay, so breaking out of downsloping trend lines. We're going to be using this horizontal line here, really not necessarily as a stop loss per se, but just an invalidation point, right? Invalidation point there at the yellow line. And then what else we've basically, you know, this is basically like our dragon again, right? So you have the head of the dragon, which we commonly paint like this, right? So we put this head up here, and then we have these feet. Okay, so here's the dragon's feet, and we already basically have those in place, right? So there's the feet, and then what we're working on at this point is kind of just the abdomen area, right? So if you saw him across his belly, right? Across his belly, and like here's his legs, right? Think of like a big dinosaur, right? Like a brontosaurus, whatever. So the way a dragon would form here is it has to now create the tail in the form of this backside of the harmonic, right? So that would look like this, right? We would end up getting up here, and then here's this crazy area of resistance, right? That we're gonna run into, where you have the B, you have this, you have what was once, you know, support here is now flipped resistance. So we have to flip that back into support in the abdomen, and that'll allow us to make our way towards the tail area, which is our 65k target. Okay, so that's what we're attempting to paint. If all this plays out as per our, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, prediction, I guess, whatever the word is. Okay, so the only other thing we could really do here, I think that pretty much covers it, is we could throw a fib on it from, you know, the X high to the A low. Okay, so just trying to grab this exact here. Okay, so we got a fib on it. That being said, we could paint our, get rid of this magnet, our golden zone here between the 382 and the 618. or we could paint our 786 to 886 deep retrace, okay? And there's EK's 702. Okay, so I'll get rid of the fibs. So again, look how this would really, this really lines up with, with what we just painted on that dragon formation, right? Where we get up here, we redirect the bottom of the golden zone initially, right? Maybe go sideways there, but then we end up inside the golden zone. Again, some downsloping price action just to reset, and then we end up here at that deep retrace area. So here's where you'll be stuck in the golden zone for a little while, and then ultimately we bounce out of it. Okay, so that's how the fibs would lay out on this guy. Okay. The only other thing we could look at now would just be kind of what would happen after that. Okay, so let's get rid of this trash 702. Just kidding. Okay, so say we come up here and we hit 65. All right, at that point we're probably gonna do some kind of double top, and then this is where we're gonna sell off one more time. Okay, and this back test could be 50. Maybe it gets all the way back down here to probably 45, somewhere in this zone, okay? And then that's your real reversal. But this is what we're actually looking and hoping happens, okay? So we don't necessarily just want this thing to just take off, right? We actually want it to come up here, hit the harmonic, sell off one more time, and then we get the new all-time high, okay? So when we get up here, don't get too crazy. And of course, it'll be too early to tell now because we're way down here. But ultimately, we would look for things such as like bearish divergence up at the, completion zone of that bearish bat in blue. And then ultimately as well, we're painting a massive, just like huge range, right? So as you can see, if this is our range, it could be slightly off, but you can see how we come and we back test that midpoint after testing the range high. So currently we're buying the range low, we're gonna run this up, and we're gonna hit the range high, and then we're gonna sell off. We're gonna come back test the range midpoint somewhere, and then break out of the range high, testing it and going. Okay, I know that's really sloppy, but you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth, right? So range high, range midpoint, and then go. All right, so that's the plan there. Onwards we go. Bitcoin dominance. So on this chart, we've been looking at this on the 3-day for quite some time. So okay, let's zoom in a little bit here, because this is gonna take some time, quite some time to play out. So we're gonna be still, in this area for a good majority of time here. Okay, so what we have going on is we had this low, okay, and this low was on, I don't know, whatever, the mid-January low on Bitcoin dominance, okay, and that basically pretty much lined up with the mid-August low here. So you got this double bottom. Yeah, this one was slightly lower, but pretty much a double bottom here. And now we're finally, what looks like, starting to paint a very significantly higher low now, right? So you can clearly see that. Okay, so higher low painting, so that's good. And now we also have this downsloping trend line here you see in white. So that could be dialed in a little bit. And it's a good point there because it touches this stuff, right? If I bring it up higher and get more aggressive, we miss all this touch point. I'd rather see this stuff involved. Okay. So this is a pretty critical point. And it makes sense that we're at a critical point because we just said on the Bitcoin USDT chart, it really doesn't have anywhere to go, right? So So yeah, if you don't have nowhere to go there, it's makes sense you don't have nowhere to go here. So what we want to see here is one of two things. We either want to break this and back test this a little bit and then run. That would be perfectly fine. Or we just straight up sweep this high, okay? So that would look like a breakout like this. And then you could go sideways up here a little bit before running some more. But ultimately you're holding above what was previously resistance, February 28th on Duck's birthday. This becomes support now, right? So something like that, right? What we don't want is a full reversal here and to do the opposite, right? To backtest previous support as a resistance and sell off, right? That's no bueno. Okay, so we're looking for the latter, this one. Okay, so okay, if we look at this again, we have this downsloping trend line. We'll see how we break out of it here, but that's kind of what we're looking for. And then we have this target up here in purple, right? This is really the area we want to get into. And I'm kind of thinking this is what happens when Bitcoin hits our 65 target. And then you saw that little bit of sell-off we had, right? And this is where we backtest between 45 and 50. And then when we run back up and break out at the second time, this is where you get your new all-time high. But this is like 65, more likely to be 65, based on how far we are away from it at the moment, and this being a 3-day time frame, right? So very, 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 very significant time frame, right? Why wouldn't you want BTC.D to drop? Because if Bitcoin's dropping, that means the alts are carrying everything if we're talking about an upside rally, and that's just not realistic in my opinion. We don't usually get carried by the alts, right? The alts get pumped because a bunch of money came into Bitcoin and people take profit target areas, for example, and they take profit on Bitcoin and then maybe move some of that to some alts or so. I don't know. I don't see it the other way around, right? I think that if we're going to have an up season, an up only, right? If this is going to be up only, then Bitcoin has to lead the way. What we painted over here has to play out, or else it's over. Not zero over, but like 20K over, right? If this happens and we roll over and do this one, right? This is 20K stuff. This is 20K, okay? If not worse. All right, in my opinion, that's just how I read this one, okay? So, okay, we know our play here. Breakout, get above this, make some moves. All right, onwards we go. ETH to Bitcoin. I think we're on the daily here, maybe. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to that real quick. Yeah, oscillators look really good here. Bullish convergence across the board. And maybe it's the daily. No, was it the weekly? Neither one of them. I thought one of these had some clear hidden bullish divergence, but whatever. That's what I was looking for. I thought we missed it, but all we saw was bullish convergence, which isn't a bad thing. All right. ETH to Bitcoin. Okay, this is getting interesting now. So, in my opinion, Bitcoin, this has been leading the way. This is literally our roadmap, okay? So, in my opinion, Bitcoin is right here, okay? So we're gonna run up, we're gonna get into the golden zone, get above the midpoint, and we're gonna test the range high, okay? And we're gonna double top the range high, and then we're gonna sell off, right? And then we're gonna back test the midpoint and then break out again. And when we break out of the range high this last time, that's when we get these highs, okay? We just talked about that on Bitcoin, did we not? Well, this is exactly what I'm looking for on Bitcoin, okay? So copy this fractal, boys. Copy and paste that and send it to Kaleo, because he's a fractal boy. There it is for him, okay? Tell him that's what's gonna happen. Not all this trash that looks like that on his, all over his feed, okay? Alright, next. Double bottom right here, okay? So that's nice to see that we had a nice double bottom, and then we sprung out of it, and now all we did was just kind of reset everything, okay? And by resetting everything, look at what we did. We painted a massive hidden bullish divergence on ETH to BTC. Right here, just trade this one. Don't even mess around. Just go to ETH against BTC. Be long ETH. Like this one is like really clear, okay? So I don't know, looks good. So what you want to see again is this, right? You need to see this. It's almost like, again, you have this little downsloping trend line, right? So you're gonna break out of it and you're gonna get up here to this range high, which was previously this C high, okay? That's what we're using in this C high over here. Both of those we're using as this quote unquote range high, and we want to see that breached and those two previous highs back tested as support, okay? That's basically 0.08, let's call it, okay? Let's get above 0.08. That'll be a very bullish sign. And obviously what would be extremely bearish is to invalidate our hidden bullish divergence. Okay, we have a long ways to go to do that. It would have to make this down, fall below it, okay? So that would look like this. You don't want to see this, right? Boom. Using this as resistance. You don't want to see that. So get up here, break out, hold, go. All right? ETH BTC. Bullish. ETH dominance. ETH dominance, again, on this. Look, last time we looked at this, guys, go back to the previous stream, okay? What we painted this yellow here. Look at this, guys. We said we want this to come down here low enough to paint hidden bullish divergence, and then come back up here and now start to paint positive momentum island, okay? What happened there? We came and we painted lower levels of negative momentum, right? Much lower levels than the previous levels of negative momentum, right? Lower levels of negative momentum on a higher low on price. There's your higher low on price right there, okay? So on the MACD, hidden bullish divergence on ETH.D. So this means a couple things. If you want to quickly summarize the few charts we just looked at, we said Bitcoin USDT is going to go up. Then we said the crypto market as a whole is going to go up. Well, no. We said Bitcoin's dominance over the crypto market is going to increase, okay? So Bitcoin's going to go up in USDT value, which that means total goes up. And then BTC dominance is going to go up. On top of that, we're saying ETH to Bitcoin is going to go up as well, even more, and that the dominance on ETH is going to go up because ETH is going to be, growing against Bitcoin. So ETH is looking extremely strong here. So while we put in this positive island of, positive momentum island down here, okay, on the MACD, while we're painting that, in order to do so, we're going to run up here and we're going to complete this harmonic, okay? That's going to be your positive momentum island. However it plays out, it's going to do that, and that's what we want to see, okay? Plain and simple. And then we have this little sell off, whatever, but then we pump again, right? Okay, so that's ETH dominance. All right, let's look at a few alts, starting with Sol. Again, this looks similar to what we have on Bitcoin, where we have this massive downsloping trend line, right? Where it touched these 2 points, and then we ran up and touched it, and then sold off, right? And now we're regrouping to take a run at it again, right? So what we need is to come up here, break above this, and go. And then we need to break above this previous point as well. Okay, around like $1.30, and hold that as support, and then go as well. And again, nice easy to invalidation here, because we have these previous three lows, almost like a inverse head and shoulders here, right? So on this inverse head and shoulders, we don't want to see that breached. So this is currently painting hidden bullish divergence. I would imagine. Let's pull the oscillator up here. Yeah, massive, right? So you have this little baby negative momentum island on the last low up here before it ran up, and then look at all this massive amount of negative momentum, right? And all the bears were able to do is push it back to paint a higher low. Okay, and then you have it on the RSI as well. So hidden bullish divergence on both MACD and RSI. Come up here, breakout, breakout, go. Ultimately, this is probably going to end up at like 230, and I'm imagining that that's some kind of fib as well. Let's see what we got here. Okay, what is it? Between the 786 and the 886. Well, isn't that the deep retrace, ladies and gentlemen? Absolutely, deep retrace it is. Deep retrace target it is. Okay, yeah, of course we're gonna do a little hanging out here in the golden zone, right, between the 382 and the 618, but we have to in order to get to the 786 and the 886, right? It's on our way there. So yeah, maybe you even hit this, back test this a little bit inside of it, and then run up, whatever, doesn't really matter. Okay, you're going to at this point still be looking like this. Okay, extremely tight stop, massive upside. Okay, 13.5 to 1 on your money at this exact point in time. Okay, all right. Ave, same thing, guys. Look, we had our breakout, we rallied, we sold back off, painting higher low, hidden bullish divergence. Let's check it, but maybe prematurely painting that, but based on what we just looked at on Link or on Sol, yeah. Okay, so even at that, like, I know it's not the cleanest, because from here technically it should have just rallied, but if you want to say that, you can say fine, we painted hidden bullish divergence here, we rallied. Okay, fine. And then from this point to this point, we've now painted class A bullish divergence, if that's the case, because we're putting a higher low or a lower low on price with a higher levels of negative momentum. Yeah, there's no island between it, but still, you see what I'm saying? This is still like, we want to see this turn positive for one, but really it's playing out as best as it can considering the situation. And what do I mean by the situation? The situation is Bitcoin has been going sideways, right? So even if this was ready to pump right here, okay, it was ready right here, but it had to sell off one more time because Bitcoin wasn't ready. And if the macro's not ready, the alts just can't do it by themselves, which is why Bitcoin.D has to go up for the pump, okay, in my opinion. Okay, so Bitcoin, reason it's being, such stalling so bad is because stupid DXY, right? The dollar is still, let's zoom in here, let's go way in here. See the dollar, it's been doing this sideways nonsense right here for the past let's say 6 days, so basically a week, right? A week of just going sideways. So all this sideways nonsense here, before selling off, is what's causing the alts to just have that little sputter, right? Like this rebound here is the alts selling off that one more time, okay? So now on DXY, hopefully this is a high, a lower high, a lower high, a lower high, right? And then we sell off. That would be very nice to see. And not only that, but I mean, you're painting a harmonic reversal at what would be the top, right? However you want to look at this. You want to look at it like this, right? So the demand for the asset is growing. Demand is growing. Demand is growing. Demand is growing. But the supply hasn't changed, right? We keep eating the supply, eating the supply, eating the supply. Demand growing. Finally, we're going to grow up. We're going to go up and then pop right through and mark up in price because the supply at this area has dried out. But the demand for said asset keeps getting stronger, right? So hence in inverse, bruh, there's your dump. So that's why when we go back and look at these alts, where were we at here? Sorry. When we went back and look at these alts now, you can see that this sell-off here was due to that, what we just looked at on the DXY, okay? So now as the DXY dies, right, the alts should rise, okay? Zooming this in a little bit here. Let's see if you have, yeah, see, you're basically like getting to this point of you have to make a decision. It's go time, right? It's go time. And not only is it go time, but it might like really be go time. Yeah, so like not the cleanest. It's kind of a combination of a Gartley and a bat, right? Where we have a Gartley, a Gartley giving us a 618 here at the middle, at the B, whereas a bat would be like this, right? A bat would be as like this at the 50. So this is definitely a Gartley at the B, which a Gartley should be actually even more shallow. Okay, let's see here. Gartley would be here, 618. Run up, put in a C. It's irrelevant of as long as it's between 382 and 886. Basically hit that 382, and then you sell off to the 786, and 786 would have been like that. So it's not the cleanest textbook Gartley, but based on where it is and you know, the reaction it's going to create is going to be the same. You're going to create this reaction to the upside. That could ultimately be your reversal. You know, painting higher low. Yeah. As long as Bitcoin doesn't die, these are going to go with it, right? Whichever direction that is. So Litecoin, same thing here. There's your downsloping trend line. However you want to paint that, something like this, right? So you're approaching what would hopefully be this breakout and then go, right? Again, look at this, how your borderline, it's not really a inverse head and shoulder, but again, it's just like what we started on, right? The changing of the tide here, the price action changing, right? Something like this, okay? So yeah, again, Litecoin, not a whole lot to see here. Everything's going to follow. Look, I mean, this is looking pretty nice here. Okay. So you had this low, so you have class A bullish divergence at the tail end here, and you basically had this borderline, yeah, you like hidden bullish divergence here as well. Pretty clear. Yeah, pretty clear. So again, guys, I know it's like it tries to like bore you to sleep, right? It tries to bore you to sleep, but that's why spot's king, because you can weather these stupid storms like this. Nothing's really happened, right? You're still painting a higher low. The only thing that's wrong is if you bought here on leverage, okay? But really, we bought here, so we're just right back where we started, okay? This is what you want. Ultimately, I see Litecoin like 280, but no 1,000 or none of that BS, okay? 280, and that's gonna be a stretch. All right. BNB, this one looks good. Again, at this point, guys, similar story like always on the alts. If you find an alt that matches what we're looking at here, then it's gonna do the same thing as these. So hidden bullish divergence is there. There's your tail end class A bullish divergence, okay? Whoops, whoops, whoops. So looking good on the oscillators. Again, a very clear downsloping trend line developing here, where you have nowhere left to go, right? You're like a, those stupid things, slinky or a spring, right? You're springing here between two points, and you have no choice but to react, right? Your reaction is either going to be to the downside or it's going to be to the upside. And we, of course, are in camp upside, okay? So again, to the downside, you don't want to see this invalidated right here. That this being this, right? Like 260, you don't want to see that, okay? As of now, you're fine, and you're painting some green, so remain green, remain green. Dogecoin, same thing, guys. At this point, we're just on repeat. Hide the ticker. Hidden bullish divergence on the MACD, convergence on the RSI, higher low. Yeah, you gave a little back here, but price, nothing's really changed. You just look like this now if you're not in, okay? And this is probably on a lower time frame, even painting, you know, stuff like this, right? So you're gonna get some reactions here. It's only a matter of time, okay? Sushi, look at this, guys. You dropped one more time. Touch the top, touch the bottom. Again, nowhere left to go. Look at this. Massive, massive, massive bat, okay? So you had the 50.5 retrace here, 886 on the bottom. Yeah, a little lower, whatever. Again, like I said, it was ready here, but Bitcoin, DXY were not. You had to sell off one more time. You didn't really break anything. This pattern was so, your target on this one was so high that your stop was not, you know, nowhere near being touched, right? You're talking about like potentially something like this. And I know this seems crazy, but like that's what happens to these alts. When they go, they can go, okay? You can see this start to work its way up and then just have some kind of stupid pump, right? So I mean, it's happened in the past. Like, look at this run, boom, even here, boom, down here, boom. So there's been some very significant pumps. All right, look, you bring this over here. You see what I'm saying? Not out of the realm of possibilities at all. Okay, 20 bucks. Buy it at 3, sell it at 20. V-chain. Zoom in. Okay, so you had this initial down sloping trend line. We broke out, painted this, you know, like inverse head and shoulders, and now again, down sloping trend line, about to break out. Hidden bullish divergence right there. Okay, hidden bullish divergence into like class A bullish divergence, right? So these are all divergences on the bottoms. These aren't, the white is your trend line you need to break out of, okay? Again, just like on our Bitcoin, we have like this dragon abdomen area, right? You need to get above that, through it. If you can get above and through it, then you're going to see much higher prices. If we were to throw a fib on this, I would see you again. It seems like a lot of these assets are setting up for a deep retrace. Puts you between 15 and 17 cents on V-chain, and even at that, I mean, you're going to see first a little golden retrace, right? All right, so there you go. V-chain breakout, breach the high, back test this previous high as support, get into the golden zone, and then ultimately get into that deep retrace. Okay, Rune, same exact thing as V-chain, just on this one you have a very clear down sloping trend line here that when breached okay, we should see something like this roughly. Don't hold me to it down to the, you know, we don't care about the fractals. We're looking at buying here, and we're looking at selling at this top of the range, okay? What do we have here is hidden bullish divergence, massive hidden bullish divergence on the RSI. Same thing, this MACD is like rolling over bullishly. Excuse me. There you go. Somebody would play this like so. I mean, you could have an initial target right here at the midpoint if you wanted. Stop would be about like that. That's 2-to-1 on your money. But the real winner is at least there, right? Breaking this next high. See, we have these 3 high targets almost. 1, 2, 3. Okay, but ultimately you have permission to go after this third one like this. Okay, Ruin, there you go. IOST, big ol' harmonic again, zooming in here. Painted a low, higher low, and then now another slightly higher low, if not dead equal low. Okay, but this one has the divergence, massive divergence on the RSI, the hidden bullish divergence on the RSI. Okay, on the MACD. Okay, there you go. So now, basically, as long as we continue to paint a higher low than this stuff, right, we should be fine. We're at the point of no return, okay? What we do not want is this, okay? What we want is to hold here, rally, make some kind of new, you know, we're gonna have this resistance block here, right? So let's get through that and then get up into this gray box, okay? IOST. All right, I'm gonna throw a couple quick stocks on there we've been watching. This is HBI, Haynes brand. So, do we have this on the 3-day? No, it was on the daily. So looking at Haynes brand, again, you're in that buy zone. You came and you hit a reaction off that bottom downsloping trend line, regarded it as support, hit that 886D, completed the harmonic in that buy zone, and now you had a nice reaction, 2.3% up on the day. So what we want to have happen here is this kind of stuff, right? So let's go. Roku, look at this, how we came and back tested that trend line that was coming from the previous A and C high of the yellow harmonic. And you can see we back tested it here on this initial break hook go, and we came all the way back out and back tested it and regarded it as support again. So you're right here at that 886 of the big blue harmonic. Yeah, so Roku looking good. As long as we can rally here and hold, a stop loss would be right here. Okay, so stop loss basically $61. You're buying it at 100, your stop is 60. You're targeting 250 and 450. Okay, all right, Roku. Next, GoPro. Yes, EK, they still make GoPros. I don't know who uses them, but somebody does. I have one. I don't use it. Okay, so you got these two gray boxes. Where are they coming from? The first one is coming from the C and the A high of the purple harmonic as target 1. Okay, and then you have the second gray box coming from the A and C high of the pink harmonic as your target 2 zone, like that, right? So you don't want to see this right now is making, look, the reason this was so strong, if you get rid of this purple one real quick, and you just look at the pink harmonic, okay, the reason this was so strong is because this was a Gartley. You ran up, came down, painted a 618 retrace, ran up, came back down, painted a 786, and at the same time had this like wedge downsloping trend line. You broke out of it, broke out, got to the next high, regarded it as support, and now we're breaking out and engulfing again. Okay, so like we were very much so, you know, very bullish on this asset. And not only that, but you even painted this harmonic, right? Butterfly hit the 1272 in that same exact spot where the larger harmonic hit the 786. That is harmony, right? Confluence. That was a massive, massive red flag, red alert. Now, from that point, you're up, you know, 24%. And that was only in a matter of, since March 14th, that was 51 days. So not even, I don't know, it's like 2 months, right? 51 days, 2 months. You got 24% on GoPro, and you're ultimately heading for 50 to 80%. Okay. Ford, we've been looking at Ford, and Ford has this massive 1, 2, 3, 4, and still is not invalidated yet. 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times hidden bullish divergence. On the MACD, 1, 2, 3, 4 times hidden bullish divergence on the RSI. Guys, this one is gonna do something stupid, okay? This doesn't happen, okay? Very often. 5 times. See how every time it puts in a low, you had this low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. Every time we're putting in a higher low, we're continuing to paint lower levels of negative momentum every single time. That tells us this asset is extremely bullish. Every single time bears attempt to paint lower levels of negative momentum, all the bulls are doing is painting a higher low right back in, not allowing them to break the previous low. The structure is there. It's massive. It's solid. This is going to do something crazy, okay? This is going to do something like this. Probably something like 33 bucks, okay? So looking at this right now, at this exact moment in time, I mean, first, of course, you could do a lot of things here, right? You're gonna have a lot of flexibility, and you're gonna have a clear invalidation point, okay? So clear invalidation point being the previous low. So there's our stop, okay? And then as far as targets go, we're gonna take this and we're gonna make 3 of them. Okay, and the second one, the first one is going to be this square up here at 20 bucks, psychological round number. Whoops. First target's going to stay there. And that in itself is almost 3 to 1 on your money, 42%. That's good enough. Next target is going to be here, 67%, 24.50, so that $25. And then lastly, the 33, which you could probably front run down here at 30. Don't be so greedy, right? Take it to 30. Front run it. There you go. That's what should happen to Ford over the course of, who knows about duration, but I mean that could take 2-3 years to hit that third target, but I mean that makes sense. Look how long this hidden bullish divergence took to develop. Okay, so something that developed in 580 days, okay? So even if we're going to just say that, right, it would be like this. So that's about when target 2 would play out, okay? Around that same time. So, and target 2, like we said, gives you 67%, okay? And then you got your moon bag. Okay, this one is Pinterest. So Pinterest is in the buy zone. So we're going to buy it here. We're going to sell up here, okay? In the gray box between the A and the C highs, okay? Of this harmonic. You have a nice bullish bat. Where this one, you see that 50% retrace, very defined here, okay? And then right into that 886, and you have a swing low failure pattern right at the 886 with some positive earnings. Massive, look at that surprise, 230% surprise earnings. Okay, so we're going to buy this in this zone, and we're going to hold and weather this storm. And I mean, you're talking about 350% gains potential. Okay, Pinterests. Next, we have EXAS. Okay, so this one, Exact Science, whatever. This one has entered the buy zone, okay? So at this point, this when you would do something like this, right? You take your bids, and you would have already hit something, right? You've already failed a little bit. And you just layer these guys right in here, okay? Every, your buy zone consists of a $8 window. Okay, so you can take 8 buy orders every dollar. You could take 16 buy orders every 50 cents. I mean, it's up to you, however you want to get in there into this position, but you need to do something like that, okay? And if you leave some behind, you leave some behind. But get a fill, get a bag, spot position. Not really a big fan of options here. And we're looking, you know, to reclaim. You see this big cluster right here, right? So that's likely going to be kind of similar resistance here, right? So we need to get above that. Okay, that's EXAS. Next we have LVS. This is Las Vegas Sands, LVS. Alright, so LVS, the reason I brought this one up is because this is painting a Gartley, guys. This is painting that beautiful 618, almost perfect swing low failure pattern, okay, at the B anchor point. This is something you want to keep on your radar, okay? So what I've done at the moment is set an alert just to break structure of the B, okay? So when we break all this structure, it'll basically be here. So I'm gonna set an alert there, okay? So that's kind of just the initial, just so it pings me like, hey, look at me again, right? That would mean price would now be like this, okay? It means we're approaching at that point about a 20% drop into the buy zone. But if we can get this, guys, and this makes sense, this is one of the ones that, say we get an initial reaction with a lot of the other stocks we've been looking at, but this one's lagging, right? And as money moves from some of those other targets that hit on some of those stocks we just looked at, like GoPro, right? GoPro hits its target. That money could then rotate, because at that point, this should be in this buy zone. Sell your GoPro, put it over here into LVS, and then you ride this next wave up, okay? And your target here is going to look something like this, guys. So you're going to enter down here. Target's going to be up here. Stop below the, you know, that X point that started this, which would be like this. And that's 2.5 here. 2.5 to 1 on your money, and you can get a better buy. You can get the buy down here, which if you get it right at the 786, you're gonna have 3.34 to 1, allowing your stop to be a little tighter, or actually a little looser, but that'd be fine. 3.5 to 1 on your money. Buy zone, LVS. Okay, so this is one that you just always. It's not always time to take a trade, okay? So when it's not time to take a trade, that's when you're looking for the next trade setup, okay? So 786 here. I'm just going to stretch this out a little. There you go, okay? LVS. So look back up at Bitcoin before we depart. We had this harmonic, low time frame harmonic, looks like it's playing out. At the low, we had this, you know, 618 into an 886. Again, kind of that bat lead. Really, you had that 1618 though down here. 1618. So that would have been this, right? Fibbing from here to here. You see, we hit that 1618 golden mean ratio. And not only that, guys, but this really wasn't even that scary. If we go to the 4 hour, looking back at this harmonic, okay, so we hit the 886 right here, but then we put in one more little dip. And why do we do that? It's because if you look back left, the initial right here, okay, April 26th, we squared up right here from March 13th, but we still had this one back here. You see this one from the initial X anchor point? We had never came back and squared that up. So if I put a horizontal line on it, right over here, we just came back and got that square up, okay? And now we're reacting. I mean, you could still go down one more time and hit it, and then go sweep this low real quick. But anyways, that's what we just did, guys. We hit a square up from way back here from March 7th, and now it's like you're free to run again. We lost our harmonic, but whatever. So all I did there was X, A, B, C, here's 886, okay, D. So this initial low time frame harmonic, we would ideally be looking for a little target like this, okay, and you would have had a long like this, and it would be like this. All right. So yeah, I think that does it for the stream. Went 1 hour 11 minutes 11 seconds, so we'll stop there. Hopefully this plays out. Again, DXY about ready to roll over. I know we've been saying that for a while, but again, it does that, right? It does that. This is perfectly normal stuff. Just trying to put you to sleep right before it's time, okay? Get you to puke your position or give up, and then as soon as you check back, boom, pump has occurred without you, right? That's the point of the market and the market maker and the composite man, composite operator, okay? So, all right, I'll catch you guys back in the Discord. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Duck is out. Peace.